Double Dragon Revive is coming, and I am very worried. Very recently, Arc System Works released a new trailer showing off footage showcasing an all-new Double Dragon game which they claim will see release in 2025. While I would imagine the company would prefer it if I was to instantly and willingly ride the hype train and jump around jubilantly in anticipation for this title, frankly, from what I've seen of the game so far, I am slightly concerned and already feel quite apprehensive about this upcoming release. So, join me today as I discuss my reservations and worries about a game that I want to be brilliant. Hello ladies and gentlemen, Big Daddy Top Hat here. It's time to discuss everything there is to know about Double Dragon Revive, and why it's a direction for the series I fear could go off the rails. Yeah. Double Dragon, Double Dragon, Double Dragon. If you are familiar with my work on YouTube, you will likely be aware that few people on this platform are as passionate about the Double Dragon brand as myself. Not only have I played and made videos on every game in the series, I have also produced a multi-hour long upload covering each entry in a single sitting. These titles highly deserve heavily documenting. After all, Double Dragon was the cooperative beat-em-up that started it all. Despite pioneering one of the most important arcade genres of the 1980s and forming the blueprint for all high quality brawlers that can be found on modern hardware today, surprisingly the series' track record for quality has been all over the place. The roller coaster of content that has been pushed out over the years has ranged from simply stupendous to some of the worst games I've ever played, so no wonder I am concerned regarding how the next game from the franchise is going to turn out. However, to understand where we are at within the current history of the franchise, let's move our attention to looking at what has been happening with the brand for the past few years. Originally, Double Dragon was published by Technos Japan and was created under the leadership of Yoshihisa Kishimoto, a man who was essentially the granddaddy of beat-em-up developers, previously delivering to us Renegade, aka Kunio-kun. After the success of the first two games, Technos Japan would assign Kishimoto to work on other projects, allowing others to work as leads producing Double Dragon games. Some of these were amazing, but some of these efforts were diabolical. However, due to Technos Japan's mismanagement, they would file for bankruptcy by the mid-90s. After the Double Dragon IP changed hands a few times, eventually it would end up in the hands of Arc System Works, with the company ironically following the same trajectory, delivering Double Dragon games that varied in quality. Let's talk about the two most recent entries in the series, for example. Back in 2017, Arc System Works developed and published Double Dragon 4, a throwback title that was graphically and mechanically inspired by the NES trilogy of Double Dragon games. Average at best and feeling very much like a retro cash grab, few felt this was either as fun or original as Double Dragon Neon, released half a decade earlier. Reviews would be generally unfavourable, and it didn't seem Arc System Works wanted to provide us with the same level of love regarding the Double Dragon brand that they would give, for example, to BlazBlue or the Guilty Gear series. Double Dragon 4 was a letdown. Now, what's more interesting is that although this game was a disappointment, 6 years later Double Dragon would rise once again, with 2023's offering delivering one of the greatest Double Dragon experiences that could be enjoyed after years and years. Existing in a post-Streets of Rage 4 and Shredder's Revenge world, Double Dragon Gaiden Rise of the Dragons had plenty of fantastic modern beat-em-ups to take inspiration from, and boy did this help result in something great. Although published by Arc System Works, this amazing little romp was produced over several years by essentially not much more than an indie studio known as Secret Base. This resulted in a highly addictive game full of heart and passion that successfully managed to marry up many of the elements that made me fall in love with Double Dragon in the first place. I've obviously made an extremely in-depth video on this one before if you care to watch it, but I cannot emphasise further how fun this title can be. This amazing game that is less than 1 year old can be yours for as little as $12.19, 55% cheaper than its usual Steam price using my affiliate link. Enjoy this bargain and get up to 90% off of thousands of AAA titles via the use of my links in the pinned comments. Happy shopping! Everything about Gaiden feels polished and refined, and what's more, when the DLC was created for the game, Secret Base gave it to us free of charge. just so we could get an even better experience. Made available to download and add to the game just a few months ago, Gaiden has felt like one of a few games that has made me feel respected as a consumer in 2024. So I was hoping the future of Double Dragon would continue to channel Gaiden's cool, non-predatory indie energy. However, Double Dragon Revive looks to change everything all over again. While Gaiden was released as a sprite-based affair with a ton of flair and spirit, despite its success, Revive looks to completely reboot the brand, repositioning the style of the series all over again. When it comes to the history of Double Dragon, the only consistency has been how inconsistent the games have looked and played, and Revive looks to revive said tradition. So let's discuss everything we know about this game so far. On July the 10th, 2024, Gematsu.com would publish an article on their website stating that Arc System Works had announced that Double Dragon Revive is coming. A new Double Dragon game coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. They would report that this was revealed in Japan's latest weekly Famitsu, and that the game will be coming in 2025. They would add that, according to the magazine, the new game faithfully reproduces the thrill of old school side-scrolling action games, with updated controls and difficulty settings for the modern era, and utilising Arc System Works' fighting game development experience. Jimmy Lee, Billy Lee, Roper, Abobo and more will appear in stylish 3D. The magazine article would include a few screenshots of the game, however fortunately we would get to see the title in video form on the following day. The trailer starts with a shot zooming out of the original Double Dragon arcade game, being played on an old beat-up cabinet. After being presented with the Arc System Works logo, the trailer dynamically transitions to the Lee brothers springing into action. As highlighted by Eurogamer, according to the accompanying press release, Double Dragon Revive promises renewed stylish character graphics with arcade favourites recreated in 3D, plus the ultimate belt scroll experience and thrilling strategic action. They would go on to promise that we will be able to experience the same simple and intuitive gameplay of the classics, with controls and balance refined for the modern era. In relation to the brawling mechanics present, they add that adaptation and variety will be required due to this apparently being more than a simple button masher, encouraging gamers to delve into the strategy by learning enemy patterns and finding the most effective attack timings. Players will also be encouraged to seize the upper hand in battle using a variety of weapons and stage features. While all of this sounds well and good on paper, the style being presented with this reboot of the game has left me scratching my head somewhat, as it looks absolutely nothing like any of the arcade brawlers that have continuously made us all fall in love with the beat 'em up genre over the years. In fact, instead of featuring beautiful, detailed sprites, like all the most popular games of this kind of the last decade, instead, at present, Double Dragon Revive features extremely wooden looking polygonal models, which wouldn't look out of place in a 2025 mobile game from China. Sure, I understand not every single polygonal game released has to look like the biggest blockbuster AAA title, but this game is being published by Arc System Works, and it's not like they are exactly short of money. Nor is it at all unusual for them to publish beautiful polygonal games, so what's the deal here? Look at how Double Dragon Revive looks, for example, in comparison to, say, Guilty Gear Strive, which was put out by exactly the same company. Guilty Gear Strive features polygons, and despite having a visual style that closely resembles traditional 2D anime, the characters and environments are rendered using 3D polygonal models. This technique is often referred to as 2.5D because it blends the visual aesthetics of 2D animation with the depth and flexibility of 3D modelling. Arc System Works, the developers of Guilty Gear Strive, are known for their advanced use of this style, which allows for dynamic camera movements and complex animations while maintaining a hand-drawn look. In fact, the critically acclaimed Dragon Ball FighterZ has received similar levels of love too, so when we place Double Dragon Revive side by side with these other games and see how wooden it looks in comparison, it instantly has me extremely concerned that this will be a rushed budget affair, much like many previous Double Dragon games in the series past. Graphically at least, it doesn't display the same artistic pedigree of most of Arc System Works' works. What makes this all the more concerning is that this wouldn't even be the first time in history we would be given a substandard looking polygonal Double Dragon title, as in 2013, the absolutely dreadful Double Dragon 2 Wonder of the Dragons would be shit out. a disgustingly bad Xbox Live Arcade release developed by Korean studio Gravity. The less said about Wonder of the Dragons the better. However, all I can say is that I hope the budget 3D polygonal look that Double Dragon Revive appears to display doesn't reflect the game's fun factor and quality. Sadly though, no part of this series' history has had any consistency to it whatsoever, so unfortunately Double Dragon is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. But from everything we have seen regarding the look of this game so far, you must be able to tell why I'm a tad bit worried. Double Dragon Gaiden Rise of the Dragons was simply stupendous, and the best new Double Dragon game we have received in years. So holding these thoughts, I'm hoping and praying that Revive doesn't undo all of the goodwill that amazing little title brought to the table. I would adore it if Double Dragon Revive became the best Double Dragon game of all time. However, if you place the look of the game side by side with other modern beat-em-ups or Arc System Works 3D polygonal fighters, sadly, at this stage in my opinion, it looks like a cut below. I truly hope I am very wrong about this one, and some of you can turn my frown into a smile. But until then, I'll continue to enjoy the greatness of Gaiden, which you too can enjoy and get 55% off using my affiliate link. This one is bloody amazing. See you in the next video. Cheerio!